But the evidence that I see so far certainly would lead me to believe that the efficiencies and the change in techniques that were brought about by regulation is beginning to have some beneficial effect.
Hello, you're watching Proactive. I'm joined by SNU Chairman Anthony Coombs. Anthony, very good to speak with you today. You're out with a trading update this week, and it looks like things are turning around, particularly at your Advantage business.
Well, I think obviously one's got to be cautious in the current climate because we've got a large number of uncertainties. One, the economy generally, and secondly, the Supreme Court decision, which is going to consider the Court of Appeal decision back in October on commission disclosure. And that's uncertain, and it's cast a pall over the motor finance industry generally in the UK. I think unnecessarily. I think that the Court of Appeal decision was wrong, and hopefully the Supreme Court will take a similar view, or at least take a view that they might agree with it in principle, but that the harm done to consumers, as we've seen ourselves, is very little. So, that set aside, I think that the business is in good shape. We're gradually seeing an improvement in collections over last year and indeed over the previous months. Why? Because they are now coming out of what they call the 116 process with the FCA, which is a period of investigation which will gradually be removed. And I think that the basic strengths of the business in terms of how we deal with our customers and how we collect our repayments from them in a sensible and responsible way will become evident. So I think there's every reason to be cheerful there. On the other side of the business, I think the Aspen, the property finance business, is thriving. I mean, absolutely no doubt about that. Although the property market tends to go in fits and starts, it is gradually improving, I think, overall. Interest rates are likely to fall still further this year. There's still a fundamental demand for property, particularly residential property in this country. And Aspen has taken advantage of that, excuse the pun, and has produced an excellent increase in profits this year of over 50%. So I think they're doing extremely well, and I think we can see further progress in that division, which we only started about 7 or 8 years ago, and which is now producing profits of over £7 million a year.
I mean, Anthony, just talking about Advantage again, so it's the motor finance business. You do point out that adversity can sometimes provide opportunity. So the business has become more efficient, and you also have better contact with your customers now.
Yes, I mean, I think it's a very good point that you make. We've started a website called myadvantage.com, which makes it easier for our customers to contact us, both to make repayments, to find out what settlement figures are, and to look for further loans if they require them. And I think that kind of communication is right in line with, one, what is good commercial sense, but secondly, what the consumer duty requirements are from the FCA. I mean, we sometimes rail against regulation, but there are certain regulations which are extremely helpful to the business, do actually mean that we become more efficient as a result of those regulations, and that's one of them. And I think that and in terms of our collecting and our customer relations generally, will benefit over time from the kind of intervention that we've seen over the past year.
And you do point out that the easing of regulatory restrictions only really became positive for Advantage towards the end of the financial year. Has that momentum continued into the new financial year?
Yes, it has. And I'm pleased to see that. I mean, obviously, it's an early stage in the new financial year. I mean, it's January the 31st, and we're only 15 days on. But the evidence that I see so far certainly would lead me to believe that the efficiencies and the change in techniques that were brought about by regulation is beginning to have some beneficial effect. Now, I don't want to overstate that. I mean, obviously, it's very early doors, as they say, but I do think there's reasons to be optimistic.
Well, we'll be watching out for that Supreme Court review, Anthony, and I'm sure we'll be chatting to you when your results are actually released. Thank you very much for the time today.
Thank you.
That's SNU Chairman Anthony Coombs.